Just last week, South Korea's homegrown space rocket Nuri was successful for its third journey into space. And the country now has its eyes on the lucrative aerospace industry. For further details, our business correspondent Shin Ha-young joins me in the studio. Welcome, Ha-young.
Great to be here, Jung-min.
So last week, South Korea's Hanwha Aerospace became the first private company to take part in this project. Why does it matter?
You're right. Unlike the first and second launches, Hanwha Aerospace participated in managing production and also cooperated in preparing for the third launch of the Nuri space rocket with the Korea Aerospace Research Institute. And when we look at other countries, the space industry has already entered the so-called new space era led by private companies. And in fact, NASA selected SpaceX as its partner in 2021 for what is formerly known as its human landing system. A few weeks ago, there was also an announcement about Blue Origin winning a key NASA contract to develop a crewed lunar lander for delivering astronauts to the moon. And in line with this trend, industry insiders are welcoming Hanwha's participation, saying that South Korea has now also entered the new space era, expecting the private sector to lead to vitalization of the local space industry. And one expert says expanding to the private sector is crucial to boost the market.
The country is now transferring technology to the private sector and letting it supervise the integration of such launch vehicles. This is because when the domestic industry weakens, it is difficult for even the national-led space development to progress.
3 more launches of the Nuri rocket will be carried out between now and 2027, with Hanwha Aerospace taking charge. And throughout the process, private firms will take on the responsibility of manufacturing the Korean space launch vehicles while aiming to improve their manufacturing skills.
Then, Ha-young, which industries are expected to see growth in the near future in terms of this space industry?
Well, Jung-min, it's definitely a turning point for South Korea's space industry as well as other industries. The global space industry has already surpassed the size of the chip market, reaching $447 billion as of 2020. And when considering the impact of diplomacy and security, it holds significance beyond its economic value.
The aerospace industry encompasses all industries related to space exploration, such as the construction and operation of launch vehicles and satellites, as well as the development and supply of satellite services, therefore having significant added economic value.
The demand for satellites is rapidly increasing. As in the war in Ukraine and emergency situations, satellite communications, such as what is provided by SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service, is important. In fact, the South Korean government is planning to launch 80 satellites by 2030. And with increasing demand for satellites, semiconductor and communication service sectors are expected to grow, along with advancements in technologies for monitoring climate and observing terrain. And there are already domestic startups in the aerospace industry that have begun to develop their own space technology, such as InnoSpace, who became the first South Korean startup to launch a suborbiter back in March.
Tell me, Ha-young, so what is the next step for Korea? I mean, what are the tasks that we need to focus on?
Well, Jung-min, South Korea still has a long way to go when it comes to the global market share, because South Korea's space industry is worth a little over $2 billion, less than 1% of the global space industry's $300 billion valuation. And based on a forecast of the global market reaching $1 trillion by 2040, the government hopes to expand South Korea's share in the global space market to 10% by 2045. And to secure global competitiveness, starting this year, the government is planning to invest 2 trillion won, or roughly $1.5 billion, in developing a next-generation launch vehicle that is more advanced than Nuri. And it will be used for launching a lunar lander in 2032. And the Yoon administration is also working on establishing a National Aeronautics Administration, or a Korean version of NASA, in order to lead the country's space economy. And meanwhile, one expert says keeping up with demand is also important.
The government should become a key consumer, purchasing space-related services from firms. It is important to continuously monitor and keep up with demands.
He added that it is necessary to focus on exports for not only the satellite and launch vehicle markets, but also for the utilization and service sectors.
More to come, more to expect. Our business correspondent Shin Ha-young, thank you.
Thank you.